Welcome to the Complete Story series here at Comicstorian, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad started off with quite a bang last time, so let's just cut the nonsense and jump on into this crazy adventure. It was 2 days ago that Digger Harkness leaned over the bar, a pint in hand. "I'm telling you, Jono, Task Force X is run by a bunch of muppets," he slurs to his friend. The words are picked up by several phones nearby and transmitted back to Locke. In a short time, a naval ship is docked at the port, and a Black Ops team is sent in. The door kicks open and a squad of soldiers aim their rifles at the former villain. Captain Boomerang's freedom was dependent on him keeping his mouth shut. His freedom had just ended. "Oh gee, I wonder who sent you guys," Digger says as he swivels in his chair. He smiles at the soldiers, holding up his beer and offering to buy them all around instead of everyone dying. "How about you put your hands behind your head?" one of the soldiers orders as he steps forward. And Digger smiles as his hand goes behind his head. "I really could have bought you a beer," he whispers as he pulls the boomerang from inside his jacket. He moves fast as the piece of metal buries itself into the man's chest. Gunfire echoes in the bar, but Digger is fast and pushes the barrel away, punching another soldier in the face. In seconds, they're all on the ground, dead. "Tim, I need to borrow your ute," Digger says as he looks at his friend. Locke turns back to his team, finishing his briefing and explaining that they lost Digger on the Null Harbor. "Want to narrow that down? That road crosses 3 time zones. It's 1,650 kilometers long," Thylacine notes. "Can you convert that to miles?" Harley asks. Locke finishes up, giving the team their assignments on the mission. "No," Floyd says with a shake of his head. Osita turns to him, telling him that they were given orders. "Oh, I'm sorry. Are we following orders now?" Floyd asks her. Harley pops up behind him, asking what she's missed. But Floyd blows her off and looks back at Locke, telling him that he won't hunt down Harkness. "1 year added to your sentence," Locke tells him simply. "Oh, shut up. That's not the deal," Floyd says. But Locke looks at him, and he reminds Floyd of his daughter and asks how many more years he's planning on missing. A short time later, the team lands in southern Australia. They know that Digger will hear a helicopter from miles out, so they land and climb in an old beat-up van. "Road trip!" Harley yelled with a glee. Time passes. "Are we there yet?" she yells for the umpteenth time. Wink teleports her away and returns in seconds with a smile. "You should probably go get her," Osita says as she leans forward. "She's fine. I left her surrounded by wildlife," Wink promises. She grumbles as Osita pushes and returns in seconds with a stunned Harley, who is covered in feathers. "So many emus," Harley whispers. Eventually, Thylacine pulls over for the night, explaining that they can't hunt Harkness in the dark. She pulls out her phone, explaining to the others that Locke can't hear them because there's no towers for him to bounce a signal off. "Stay here, pitch the tents," Osita orders as she and the other revolutionaries leave Floyd and Harley behind. With the rest of the team gone, Harley begins to question Floyd about what's going on, but he once again brushes her off. "I'm a highly trained psychiatrist, Floyd Lawton. I will subtly extract the information from you," she promises. That night, Floyd awakens on the ground, tied up. "What's wrong with my head?" he grumbles, and Harley smiles down at him. "That would be the ether. Ether is subtle," she explains with a glee. Osita sits up from her own spot on the ground, demanding to know why they are tied. And Harley looks at them both and demands answers. She knows that the team couldn't have beaten the revolutionaries on their sub. "So tell me, why do you let yourselves get captured?" she asks, leaning into Osita. Because you've hurt us, Thylacine says from right behind Harley, scaring the woman and knocking her to the ground. Osita snaps her ropes and charges Harley, grabbing her by the throat. You want answers? She snaps, and Harley nods. Although I feel the power dynamic has changed, Harley gasps. Osita explains her story. She was a member of the US military and was eventually experimented on. They made her stronger and more durable. Only she and one other woman survived the treatments, and the other woman became her wife. Is this a love story? What a twist! Harley claps with glee. Eventually, they were both assigned to babysit some crazy people during a mission. A metal boomerang came flying out of the battle, cutting through Osita's arm and burying itself into her wife's chest. They called it friendly fire, she explained. After that, she wasn't allowed to take her wife's body. The military decided that with everything they had put in her, she was their property. Eventually, Osita learned about Task Force X, learned that her government was employing and defending criminals. She tracked down others that had been hurt by them, gathered them together as a team. She dropped clues to draw the Suicide Squad out, stole the sub, and waited for them. She explains that she thought they'd be seen as an asset, that they'd be taken alive and brought on the inside. But I underestimated Locke, she explains. Memories of TNT's death flash through her mind. She looks at Harley, explaining that they could take down Locke now, but she wants the head. Locke's not the head? Harley asks. But the others have gathered, explaining that someone is pulling Locke's strings. And Harley looks at them all. So what happens now? She asks. Accidents happen. We can drop you off the cliff, Thylacine tells her. Or you go the rest of the way with us, Ares says. Harley nods and grabs Floyd, pulling him away. Once they are on their own, she asks why is he going along with this? Because this gig's gonna kill me, Floyd tells her. He knows that he's been lucky up to this point, but knows that that luck will run out. Watching Locke kill that kid, he explains, reminding her that while Waller was a monster, she was their monster. After their talk, Harley walks back over to the group and tells them that she's in. Osita demands to know why, and Harley explains that she has had a history of being forced into bad situations. Osita, she gets to be one of us, Aerie tells their leader. The others vote, and Harley is brought into the fold. The next morning, the group continues forward. The Aerie swoops down, reporting to the others that she's found Digger's truck amongst the car graveyard ahead. Inside, the group gets out. Fan out! Look for! Osita begins to order, but she is interrupted. Nah, no need, Digger calls out to them. He holds up a beer and waves it. Floyd, Harley, I was waiting for you. I was kinda hoping it would be someone other than you, Digger tells them. He was waiting for us? Floyd says as Osita orders Jog to take Digger. Floyd realizes what is about to happen and tries to warn Jog, but it's too late, and Harkness hits the button on his detonator, and the graveyard suddenly explodes around them. The fire licks at Jog's face as he stumbles and falls. Digger throws a boomerang, but Wink teleports out of the path, and Osita catches the weapon with her robotic hand. Harkness suddenly looks over his shoulder to find Thylacine standing behind him. Bloody hell, where'd you come from? He asks. She attacks with her staff, twirling and knocking the man to the ground. Wink appears above him, landing and smashing his face with her boots. As the Aerie tends to jog, Osita marches forward, anger on her face. But Floyd rushes over, trying to stop her. We're supposed to bring him in alive. Remember the plan, he reminds her. But she merely backhands him away. Deadshot, what's happening? Locke shouts over the radio. It's under control, Locke, Floyd groans. Osita stalks forward and lifts Digger up by the throat. Suddenly, a shot goes off and the bullet hits a car by Osita's head. Everyone turns in shock to see Harley aiming a pistol. I will shoot you. I mean, not fatally, but, she warns. Osita leans in close, telling Harkness that he is the reason she hurts. I don't know what that means, he tells her. She lifts him up, preparing to stab him through the chest with his own boomerang, as Locke warns her to stop over the radio. But it is Jog who stays her hand. Osita, my friend, don't do this. This isn't how it's supposed to go down, he tells her. Osita is shocked, but Jog explains that he heals fast, although he can smell his own skin. She turns back to Digger. You got lucky, Harkness, she growls. Back at the command base, Locke warns them all to give him a report before he electrocutes them all. But Osita's voice crackles over the radio. It's done, Locke. We've got Captain Boomerang. We're bringing him in, Osita reports as the team walks out of the graveyard. A short time later, Digger sits in the electro chains at Belle Reve prison. It's something different, eh? Did you get a haircut, Waller? He asks with a smile as he looks up at the shielded Locke. The blonde man just smiles and turns to Floyd. Deadshot, shoot your funny friend in the head, he orders. Seriously? Deadshot asks as the others question why they had to go all the way to Australia if Locke was just gonna kill him anyway. Because I wanted you all to see what happens, Locke says. He explains that he knows they did something at Badnesia, that he wants them to see the consequences of disobedience. Locke and the rest of the soldiers hold up the detonators to the squad's bombs. Now do it, Lawton, or one of my men blow up your head, and we go down the line until someone does what I say, Locke snarls. Digger closes his eyes. It's okay, Floyd. No hard feelings, mate, Harkness tells him. Locke looks at Deadshot again, yelling for him to shoot. That Locke owns him! A gunshot echoes through the room, and the round hits Zebra Man on the shoulder. The villain is stunned by the pain, and the force field drops from around Locke. No force field, you don't own me, Floyd tells Locke as the man looks in surprise. Deadshot fires his wrist gun at Locke's head at point-blank range, and everyone stares in shock. We're improvising! Osita shouts to her team. Oh snap! Harley laughs. Things start moving fast as Osita orders Jog to get all the triggers. As the team moves in to fight the soldiers, Jog is a blur around the room. But as he moves for the last one, the man presses the button. His life flashes before his eyes in an instant. He stops in front of Osita. I almost got them all, he tells her as the bomb in his neck begins to beep. You did great, kid, she tells him as she takes his hand, and his head explodes before her. The team gathers behind her, and Osita orders Wink to deactivate all the bombs and grab all the intel they can. I want to know everything they've hidden, she says. She turns to the last soldiers, the one who blew up Jog. You, connect me to whoever Locke reports to, she orders. The man looks at her in fear, pulling out his phone and hitting a few buttons. He holds it up. Locke, is it done? The man questions. Osita looks at him for a moment. Locke's dead, and we're very, very angry, Ted Cord, she growls. Ted smiles at her, informing her that he tried to warn Locke that the revolutionaries were too much trouble. He offers to explain everything to them, but Osita just glares in anger. You can explain when we come for you, she says. But Ted once again just smiles. He explains that they're in a lot of trouble, that this operation has a lot of things tied up into it that will make a lot of powerful people angry. I have some highly effective friends I can send after you. If I were you, I'd just surrender, he tells them. But the team gathers. If I were you, I'd run, Osita warns him as they all escape. Gotham City. Chaos Kitten grits her teeth and asks why the doc doesn't have any pain meds. Just think happy thoughts, Thylacine offers. and Kitten grits her teeth as the doc finishes pulling the bomb out of her neck. The doc steps out of the room, taking a phone call. "You okay?" Thylacine asks. "I just had surgery with no pain relief," Kitten tells her. "Absolute agony is a small price to pay for not having a bomb inside you," Thylacine reminds her. The two step back out into the room with the rest of the team. Deadly Six looks around and points out that the doctor's office isn't the most hygienic, even pointing out that there's a dead dog lying on the floor. And the doc suddenly sticks her head through the door. "I remembered that I had anesthetic after all," she shouts. "You remembered after cutting us all open?" someone shouts. She waves it and asks if they want it. "Of course we do," Chaos Kitten shouts. But Thylacine leans forward. She can sense the doc's heart, and she knows that she is lying. "Also, I can read your mind," Finn tells her as he leans in. Chaos Kitten punches the doc across the face, causing her to drop the syringe of poison. "Man, what's the world coming to when you can't trust a back alley doctor who lost her license due to some mild organ harvesting?" Harley sighs. The group looks around, questioning why the doctor would try to poison them after helping them. "Because of this," Osita says as she picks up the woman's phone and reads the bounty for the squad. In the Batcave, Batman looks at the $24 million bounty on the Suicide Squad's heads. In moments, he is rumbling out of the Batcave in the Batmobile. Osita leads the team outside, explaining that they need to get back to the plane and out of the city. But Chaos Kitten stops as she looks back. "Hold up! The dog isn't dead!" she shouts. Osita looks back as Chaos Kitten picks up the animal. "I am not leaving a dog in this environment," Kitten explains as she holds the animal. "We should take the dog," the area agrees as they lean in. Everyone climbs aboard the truck, and they leave the alley. Moments later, a group of ninjas arrive, looking for the team. But they scatter quickly as Batman descends from the rooftops. He grunts as he surveys the scene. He calls back to Alfred, explaining that he is tracking the problem. "And I'm not the only one." As the team heads back to the waiting plane, Deadly Six continues to go through the files that they stole from Locke, and he finally finds something interesting. "Harley and Deadshot were free," he says, looking at the pair. "You've done enough missions. Your time was served. You had official pardons," he explains as they both look at him with shock. Harley is surprised, but anger flashes over Floyd's face. The dog keeps barking, causing Osita to yell at it. "No, the dog's right. We're in trouble. They're surrounding us," Thylacine whispers to the group. The ninjas open fire with a rocket, and Osita shouts for Zebraman to put up a force field right before the rocket detonates. The force knocks the shielded truck over, flipping it onto its back. "Everyone okay?" Zebraman puffs. "Feeling unexploded and glad you accepted our invitation to join us, Zebraman." Finn nods with a smile. Chaos Kitten moves to the doors, ordering Zebraman to drop his force field and Deadly Six to prepare to help. "And protect the dog," she hisses to the group. They throw open the doors and everyone steps out for the fight. But they stop short. All of the assassins are already down. "Hey! The assassins we were gonna beat up have already been pre-beaten," Harley whispers. "It's not the first time I've stood on a dark Gotham street surrounded by mysteriously unconscious people. I'm not gonna lie, it's never ended well," Harley tells the group. Everyone turns, and their eyes widen in shock as they see Batman standing behind Harley. "What are you looking at?" Harley questions, and they motion behind her. Harley spins with her pistols, but nothing is there. She spins back to Chaos Kitten and Thylacine, but they aren't there. "Oh, come on! Stop Batmaning!" Harley shouts at everyone. She turns again to see the pair fighting Batman a short distance away. Thylacine and Kitten manage to dodge Batman's attacks, ducking and weaving while getting a few blows in. Thylacine comes up and knees the Dark Knight in the face, but he backhands her away before catching Chaos Kitten's kick and tossing her aside. Wink teleports behind him. "Hi, big fan. Sorry about this. I truly hope you don't go squish," she says as she teleports Batman into the air and drops him. But he launches a grapple hook and lands on the ground with ease. Gunshots echo through the area as Deadshot puts a few rounds into the Batman's chest, knocking him to the ground. "Did you kill Batman?" Wink shouts in surprise. But Floyd shakes his head as he reloads. "No, he won't be down for long," he tells her. He turns, yelling for the others to get to the plane while he distracts Batman. He looks to Osita, hoping that she finds the revenge that she wants. "I've been pardoned. I want to stop. And I have somewhere I need to be," he tells her. Osita smiles at him and tells him that he's a good man. Chaos Kitten comes running up with their new dog. "Take the dog," she tells him. "Why?" Floyd asks in surprise. "Self-defense, mainly. Batman's never gonna hurt a dog," she tells him. Harley comes over to say goodbye to Floyd, telling him to say hi to his kid for her. But Batman's back on his feet, throwing a batarang as Floyd yells for the others to run. He shoots another round, knocking the batarang out of the air, and he fires at the Dark Knight, who dodges the bullets and tackles him to the ground. "You shouldn't have come to my city, Lawton," Batman growls. As the others continue to flee, Wink stops for a moment as she sees the Batmobile. "I didn't want to. Your city sucks," Floyd snaps as he charges Batman. In the distance, the Revolutionary's plane takes off. Deadshot tries to throw a punch, but Batman easily blocks it and tosses him over his head. Deadshot keeps shooting, but Batman avoids it and cracks him across the face with a batarang. "Those things hurt, man!" Deadshot gasps as he struggles to his feet. Batman leaps in, coming in for the finishing blow, but Deadshot reaches for his secret weapon. "Stop! I'm holding a dog!" Floyd shouts as he holds up the puppy. Batman pulls the punch, stopping before striking the animal. "Truce?" Floyd says to the shocked Batman. Batman isn't convinced, but Floyd explains that Waller has left the squad to some absolute bastard, and they all escaped. He goes back to the truck and picks up Deadly Six's laptop, showing Batman that he was pardoned. "Not by me," Batman says, looking back up at the killer. "That's not how the law works." "You breaking the law now?" Floyd asks as he pushes the laptop closer to Batman. He looks at the Dark Knight, explaining that this squad is different, that they stopped a war. "You giving up crime?" Batman asks. "I don't know," Floyd admits to him. "You should. Do it for your daughter. She deserves a less dangerous path," Batman tells him. Floyd looks at him in shock. "You seriously lecturing me about putting a kid on a dangerous path? Have you met any of your Robins?" he asks in shock. He turns to walk away, telling Batman that he's going home now. And after a few feet, he turns back. "Everything okay? You usually disappear by now," Floyd asks the Dark Knight. Batman pauses for a moment. "My car's gone," he growls. Floyd smiles, explaining Wink and how she is a thief and teleporter. "It was locked. Impenetrable," Batman says. "You want me to call you an Uber?" Floyd asks after a moment of uncomfortable silence. "You want me to call you an ambulance?" Batman asks. They stare at each other for a moment before Deadshot turns to walk away. "Good talk," he calls over his shoulder. And that is where I am going to leave you guys off today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned a thing about self-defense. Not even Batman would punch a dog. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please be sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and make sure you hit that bell icon to make sure you get notifications when our new videos go live. And if you want to support us even further, you can head on over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you can get early access content and help decide what goes on the channel. Thank you guys so much. I'm Dan, and I will see you next time with the next installation of Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad.